Welcome back to the series Church Hurt. Today we're going to be tackling the next step in our recovery process, which is forgiveness. And I feel like a lot of people try to do this and they feel like they're doing a good job. They've walked away from their situation. They've put it behind them. They're just trying to move forward with their lives. And essentially what they're doing is they're trying to live out the motto, forgive and forget. But what if I told you that not only is this notion unbiblical, but it's also detrimental to your healing process? Now, before you run into the comments and you're like, what do you mean? The idea of forgiving and forgetting implies that we're erasing the memory as if it never happened. And here's the truth. God doesn't even do that. In fact, in Psalm 103:12, it says, as far as the east is from the west, so far as he has removed our transgressions from us. And what that tells us is that God doesn't forget our sins. He can't. He's all-knowing. It's impossible for him to do this. So instead, what he does is he forgives us. He chooses to not hold that sin against us. And when he does this, what he does is he goes into our heart where that brokenness once lived, and he puts mercy and grace in its place. Consider this. If God, the perfect and all-knowing creator, doesn't forget our sins, but still chooses to fully and completely forgive us, then why do we pressure ourselves to forget the wrong that someone's done to us? On one hand, we probably think that ignoring the pain is better than dealing with it. And on the other hand, we somehow think that by quietly holding a grudge against that person, we're punishing them for what they did. But what we're really doing is punishing ourselves. Because as we hold on to that bitterness and resentment, it's hindering our relationship with God and others. To truly recover from church hurt, we have to model the forgiveness that God displayed for us, which is about releasing the burden of resentment and choosing not to hold on to the offense that somebody gave. It's about modeling what Christ has already done for us, extending grace and mercy to those who hurt us. It's getting to a place in our heart where we can say, even though you hurt me, I will not hold it against you. True healing comes from acknowledging our hurt, processing it, and extending forgiveness in a way that reflects God's unconditional love. God's forgiveness doesn't erase the memory of our sins. It redeems them. And in the same way, our forgiveness of others doesn't mean we forget the offense. It means we choose to release the hold it has on us and allow God to bring healing to our wounded hearts. So if you've been hurt by people in the past and you've been trying to live your life according to the forgive and forget model, I want to encourage you today to completely abandon that. It's an unrealistic expectation and it's unbiblical. Instead, embrace the model of forgiveness that God has shown you, which is deeply rooted in grace and redemption. Take small steps towards healing. First, acknowledge the truth that you're in pain. You don't like what happened to you. You want to move on from it, but you don't know how. Well, first acknowledge the fact that you're in pain and that people hurt you. And then all that bitterness and all that pain and all that resentment that's been piling up in here, let it go. Don't hold the offense towards that person anymore. Just as Jesus has taken your sin and the offense it has made against him and moved it as far as the east is from the west, we are to do likewise to the offenses that are made towards us. Acknowledge the fact that you're in pain, and then extend mercy and grace towards those that hurt you. While you're doing this, I encourage you to be praying. Because while you're going through this process, you're restoring your relationship with God. That bitterness, that anger, that resentment that was piling up is being released. And now you're receiving the same type of forgiveness from God that you're beginning to extend to others. And your relationship with God is being restored. And now your relationships, your friendships, the bridges that have been burned are being restored. And you're going through a healing process. And this is something to celebrate. So pray to God first, asking him for forgiveness for the bitterness that's been in your heart. 2, for the bridges to be restored so that way relationships can be mended. And 3, tell him thank you. Tell him thank you that he would love someone like me. Thank you so much for following along with the Church Hurt series. The next one The next episode is going to be dropping in a couple of days, so I encourage you to go ahead and follow if you haven't already. If God is working on your heart, or if you need an encouraging word, like and comment below. I'd love to interact with you and help you reform your communities, your circles, and rekindle the relationships that you once had. My prayer for you is that you receive genuine healing that can only come from Christ.